Now I'm live. I always guess how long it'll take for the go live to be live. It goes live slightly before it says it's live, and so I always am trying to figure out if I can do this, and then it says go live, and then I'm there. Hey, we're gonna be playing a heck of a bunch of arpeggios today, both Tarrega's Estudio, and then we're also playing my key of G arpeggio. So we have an exciting day of ukulele ahead. I'm posting the link on our website, and it is the website is jollyrogerukulele.com. You should come hang out. We are playing introductory material, mid-level material, upper-level material every day, and I would love for you to come and be a part of it and help change the world to being a more instrumental ukulele kind of place. And let me make sure the link is working properly. And then I've started posting them on Twitter too, which means we're world famous. All right. So, and the first person in usually says, "Hey, sounds good." Well, let me post this over here. It says ukulele. I'll type fingerstyle. They usually get fingerstyle. People search for that term, which is a stupid term, but what are you going to do? All right, I am now tweeted. We are officially live on Twitter. Whatever. Who cares? Who cares? All right, let's see who wandered in. Lynn says, Estudio. It's one of the great pieces. It's really fun to play. And by the way, I have to admit a failing of mine. So today, in the previous class, we were playing Hedwig's theme. Bum bum ba dum bum 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 bum. And I was playing along, just having a heck of a time, being like, man, I don't know if I wrote this very well. It's kind of a struggle. And as I'm playing in my eye, I can see the chat bar just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and I'm like, wonder what they're all talking about. I can't pay attention to their chat bar because I'm playing the song. And so I get all the way to the bottom of the song, and I'm like, okay, that was a little rough. I look up, and they're all like, you have a different piece of sheet music than we're playing. Well, I don't have all those minutes. What are you doing? And they're all losing their mind because I'm playing my rough draft, which was terrible, and they're playing their final draft, which is still pretty hard. And they're like, something's not matching up. So, as it turns out, in ensemble play, which is what we do here, it's a good idea for us all to be working off the same piece of sheet music. So, I am officially and 100% letting you know that I'm going to play the same music as you guys, and I think it'll work out better for all of us. I'm now changing out my on top of spaghetti in this book. This is the next thing that happened. This is Gary, right? Gary, I'm kind of a B type for almost everything, except when it comes to stuff I'm going to be responsible for. Then I'm wildly A type. So on top of spaghetti is one of our harmonica songs. But I punched it on the wrong side. So when I open it up, it's over here instead of over here. And I feel like that affects my ability to teach and play it. So, it is now on the right side. I wasted a whole sheet of paper because I punched it on the wrong side. Any of you have that level of A-type obsessiveness? Same thing happened with Drunken Sailor, which is our theory piece of music for the week. All right, so that's the report from the previous class. Not a total disaster. We did play a few songs that sounded okay, but for the most part, I now have my book together and I have the right sheet music in there. And tomorrow, I will do a better job all the way around. That's my plan. Welcome in, everybody. Let's see. Lynn's for Estudio and Arpeggio. She is down. Brigitta is in from Florida. Nancy's here. Lynn says the sound is good. Nancy says the sound is goo. Janice is in. Janice, where are you in? It's from Scotland. That makes me super happy. Janice, have you been in before? I think I remember you being here one other time. Delighted you're here. It's a crazy hour in Scotland. It's past your bedtime, I think, Janice. Maybe in Scotland you have different bedtimes because the sun's only up for 5 minutes during the wintertime, right? Donna is here. Linda is here. Linda's basically in Scotland. It's called Pueblo. It's south of here. We think of it as Scotland. Melissa's in. She's from Boulder. It really is Scotland up there. Just beautiful. Farmer Ted sounds terrible. You want to know why it sounds terrible? Ted and I are buds. Ted has had to listen to this voice, Kermit the Frog voice, for a significant number of years, and he hates it as much as I hate it. One of these days I'm gonna work on getting my proper television voice so that I can sound more professional and make you think that you are learning from somebody who knows what they're doing. Valerie's in. Ted, by the way, is from Albuquerque. He and I are tight, right? We were tight. Now we're still tight, but we just haven't seen. You know how men do friendship, right? I met you. You're my friend forever. I don't have to talk to you every day. I can talk to you 20 years from now. We're still friends, right? Women, not so much. It's a little different system. happy Wednesday, Evelyn. Evelyn's in from Ecuador. So we're here. We got Scotland. We got Colorado. We got New Mexico. We got Ecuador. I don't know. We got who else? Where else are you guys from? I forget. Let's see. I don't remember. Anyway, delighted you're here. By the way, I was in Scotland 3 years ago. I am in love with Scotland. It's just absolutely one of the greatest places ever. I've gotten very lucky. I've gotten to travel quite a bit in my life, and it never ever ceases to amaze me that some of these places are like, why would I live anywhere besides this? Now, right now, I am looking around for my sheet music, and I know it's here. It is. Okay, so today we are playing Estudio by Tarrega, which is our level 2 book, and then we're also going to be playing out of the Arpeggio book that I wrote, and we're going to be doing a lot with our fingers doing this thing. Okay, so where am I here? Grab our ukulele. Let's start with the arpeggio in G, and let's make sure that that's going well for us, and then we will finish up today with the Estudio. Pretty quick class today, actually, because this is a class where if you were here for the key of C arpeggio, you'll have the basic idea. Key of G arpeggio is quite a bit harder in terms of overall skill set, but it is the same skill set. So in other words, your right hand is going to be doing all of this stuff, but your left hand has a little bit harder job on this one. So let me pull this up. Key of G is what we're working out of. And let's see, J. Sound is terrible. Ted, come on. Help me out here, bud. All right. So key of G arpeggio. First thing I do, I look down, I got to repeat at the bottom of the first page. So you're going to be playing page number 1 twice. We won't do that today. We'll do that on Friday. So today we'll walk through all of the pieces and parts of page 1. And then on page 2, there are no repeats. Okay. So there's our first thing is on Friday, we'll play page 2 twice. Today, we're only going to play it once. So grab your G chord. That's the first thing that we're doing here. I'm going to put me up on the screen so I make sure I'm giving you good examples. Index, middle, ring. That's your G chord. Okay. Those of you with guitar background, that's your D chord. Okay. Let's see. Linda says, watching the show Shetland, which is showcases beautiful. Read the books too. Yeah, I haven't seen that show. I will tell you, we were in Scotland and the weather was perfect. It was sunshiny every single day for 2 weeks. And we're like, this is the greatest country in the history of the world. We're moving here. And they're like, well, one, you should come back when it's the normal weather, which it rains all the time. The only other thing they have midges. They're these little buds and they just fly in your face all day long. Other than that, Scotland's perfect. All right, so G chord, you're going to do a measure 1. You're going to pluck these 3. Okay, so again, you are grabbing your most useful strings. You're going to, on this case, remember on key of C, we were down on these 3. Now we're going to grab these 3 strings, 4, then underneath 3, and then underneath 2. And you're going to pluck all 3 at once. Then you have 0, 2, 3. So you're already holding them down. 0, 2, 3. Now you're going to switch to E minor. When I first started playing ukulele, this chord, for some reason, just gave me fits. And I finally spent about two months just studying this chord and getting it where my hand will get it every time. Most people don't fight it. I fought it a lot. Okay. Then let's pluck all 3 again. Same strings. And then thumb, index, middle. I'm sorry, the opposite of that. Middle, index, thumb. Okay, so for measure 1, you're going to do this G chord, bum, thumb, index, middle. Then you're going to grab the E minor and you're going to do the opposite of that. Plunk, middle, index, thumb. Now, next chord you see in the tablature, it's all zeros. So you don't really need to hold the C chord down, but you should, because one, it helps teach your left hand, hey, it's a C chord, that's how I do it. And your left hand starts to fall into those good habits. But more importantly, if you don't hold that down, this string will sympathetically resonate as an A, and there's no A in a C chord. And so it makes your ukulele sound less good. Okay, so go ahead and grab your C chord, and then we'll play the 3 zeros. Thumb, index, middle. And then we're going to grab a D chord. This is how you know if you have the right size ukulele. I'm playing a soprano. It is too small for me. My fingers really struggle to fit into that second fret. Most adults should be playing tenor ukuleles. Most adults. I have a few people with little hands who play concerts. Very few people with soprano ukuleles. Little kids, and sometimes a couple of women I've worked with have really little tiny hands and they play soprano, but for the most part, you should be playing a concert or a tenor. You got your D chord on, 2-2-2. If you have the wrong size ukulele, or if you have giant fingers, you can put this in the middle and put this one on top and this one in here. Now, I don't recommend that. I would much rather have you have them in order for the other stuff we have to do, but this is an acceptable just an acceptable modification if you can't get everybody in there. So then you can pluck all 3 of those. Middle, index, thumb. Okay, measure 5. We're going to repeat the idea. So grab your G chord. Thumb, index, middle. Measure 6. Grab your E minor. Pluck. Middle, index, thumb. Measure 7. Grab your C chord. Thumb, index, middle. And then measure 8. You grab your D chord. Plunk. Middle, index, thumb. Now notice what happens on the tablature. Now all of a sudden you're going to be using these lower 3 strings. You could use these fingers. That would be an acceptable solution, but why? This is a lot more work, and you're putting this ring finger to use doing all of the melody work, and that's not ideal. So just take these 3 fingers and move them down to the lower strings. 3, 2, and 1. Grab your G chord. You're going to pluck it twice. Pinky is going to go up on 5. If you are playing a tenor, this is a bit of a stretch. Okay, and you're just working on getting this finger where it's independent from your ring finger is an activity. First couple months of playing ukulele, your finger's like, no, I don't want to do that. But after a while, you'll be like, yeah, it's fine, right? I make the guitar players do it too, and they really have a stretch. Okay, so it's kind of cute to watch them. They fight it. Eventually, all of them get it, but it's definitely a big stretch. Okay, last 2, you're grabbing that 5 and you're plucking twice in measure 9. And then you're going to grab your D chord, okay? And now notice you're open. This is already open, so you don't need to do anything fancy. Just grab those same 3 strings and pluck them twice. They're half notes, so they're twice as slow. They're half the speed of the quarter notes, so they're worth 2 beats each. Boom, boom. And then you're going to go to the G chord again, and two plucks that. Plunk, plunk. And then your pinky way up on 5. Plunk, plunk. And the D chord. Plunk, plunk. Okay. I'm just thinking my friend Ted, who's hanging out with us today, is a bass player, and he's probably like, you want to talk stretch? I don't know if you ever seen frets on a bass. They're way big, and so you're always trying to get all these notes in. It's a really challenging instrument to play. Then measure 13. Here's where things get messy. Okay, you want C chord to be this, right? We want this to be our only C chord, but that's not your only C chord. So let's talk about ideal situation here. What I want is for you to take your A chord, slide it up, and put a bar on 3. That's what I want. That's now a C chord. Bar on 3, middle finger on 4, ring finger on 5. Okay? That's what we're trying to get after. Now, in the beginning, this is what this is going to sound like. Okay? That's what it's going to sound like, and that's perfectly fine. Okay, no sound's going to come out because we got to develop the strength in this muscle right here. There's 3 muscles that run your thumb. We got to get all of them really tough so that you can squeeze down tight and get that. That's what I want. If, however, you want to just do a partial bar here, 2 there, 3, 4, you can do that. Really, that's all. It's just your B flat slid up here. Now, I don't recommend that because I'd much rather have you use a full bar if you can, because we have lots of other bar chords that will require you to use a full bar. So why not just use this one as a full bar as well? Okay, so the picture there at 13 is correct. Bar on here, A shape in front. and we plucked out 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to, don't lift this up, slide it up, dunk, dunk, to 5. Okay, it's going to be right there. We're going to slide, and then we're going to play that 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Brief musical theory discussion. If you have this shape on 3 and you slide it up 2, it's now just a different chord. So C chord, it's now a D chord. Isn't that lovely? Okay, we're going to talk about this in just a second with theory. Okay, now measure 15. You notice we had to go at measure 13 to use all 4 strings and all 4 fingers. We didn't have a choice. We got to now use all 4. When you get to 15, you put that E minor on, and you are going to pluck all 4 strings. So now you just leave all 4 strings in play with your fingers and pluck that. Then thumb, index, middle. And then grab your regular C chord, plunk, thumb, index, middle. And then go to your G chord, plunk, thumb, index, middle. And then 18 is your D chord, plunk, thumb, index, middle. 19, go to your E minor chord, plunk, thumb, index, middle. 20 is C chord, thumb, index, middle. 21 is the G chord. And then D chord. Okay, so it's all the same. Okay, now we're going to play that whole page together. I'm going to play as slow as I can. If you can't keep up, perfectly fine. You're not supposed to play this type of music as an ensemble experience. It's supposed to be a personal experience, and you make it as slow as you possibly need to in your personal rehearsal to make all these things happen. But then you show up here with me to see how you're faring, right? So I'm going to go nice and slow. We're going to go from the top to the bottom on page 1 and see how you do, and then we'll go, and then you'll take it home and practice. Okay, from the top, 1, 2, ready, play. E minor, middle index thumb, C chord, thumb, index middle, D chord, middle index thumb, G chord, middle thumb index middle, E minor, C chord, D chord. Change your strings, pinky, D chord. Let it ring, D, G chord. Pinky. Here's your C chord. Slide up to D. Go to your E minor. Thumb, index, middle, C chord. Grab your G chord. D chord. E minor. C chord. G chord. D chord. Okay, and then you're supposed to play that page twice, right? The big thing I think with arpeggios, yeah, when you come here, you're working to get to the play at the same pace as me, but it's not really essential. At home, you're working at whatever pace you can play it at, but trying to keep it steady, right? So keeping that nice steady pacing is something that we really want to work on in studies, so that we sound like we're really being mindful and thoughtful that every note has to be exactly what it's supposed to be. And so I'd much rather play it really slow and get everything right than to play it fast and then stop and fix some stuff and then play really fast and then stop and fix some other stuff. That's when we first start playing music, we have this. That's a very normal thing to do. We don't want that. All right, measure 23, page 2. All right, now we have straight melody. You can just look at the line, both the standard notation and the tablature. Very clear, we're going to play one note at a time. When you're playing one note at a time, you go to positional playing, right? And so we're starting on 2, so I'm going to play in second position. And then when you're playing one note at a time, you want those notes to be clear, crystal, perfectly clear. So let's see if we can do this. You are going to jump up to 10. That's your highest note. So I would be thinking, all right, I got to know where my 10 is, got a dot on it. And then I'm going to be using using my pinky on that. And I got a 9, and I got some 7s. So those will be my index fingers. Then I'll slide down to 5. Maybe not. 7, 2. Okay, so I'm thinking through what's going to be the best strategy for me to have the least amount of motion and get it on it clean and pretty. So let's give it a try from measure 23. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 5, 5, 0, 0. 10, 10, 9, 7, 5, 7, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 5, 2, 0, 0, 2, 3, 5, 2. Isn't that pretty? Just a nice little piece of melody there. Nothing extra special going on, except when it's in an etude like this, you want to get that clean, pretty, and clear, and in correct timing. So whatever speed you start at, you want to end at that same speed. Okay. Next, measure 31. We get to do some glissandos now. So you grab your E minor. That little wiggly means glissando. Okay, which is different than, right? We could play a chord that way, just real fast down. It's all the strings together. None of them stand out in particular. But when you have a wiggly, that means glissando. That means every string should be noticeable, like that. Okay, and then you have a choice here. So if I'm going to do my thumb down, then I can go 0, 4, 3, and use my claw to get those ones there. Or that might be smarter to just drag my thumb down. So either of those are acceptable solutions in this place. I would say get where you can do both. But in this case, since they're all going the same exact pattern, I'm probably going to go with my thumb. I pulled my thumb through from 23. Why not just keep it going? The only place I'm going to for sure have to abandon my thumb is at 39 because there's no glissandos on there. So I'm going to be plucking those, okay, for 39 and 40. So let's go from 31. Grab your E minor, nice and slow. Ready, play. Strum, 0, 4, 3, C chord, strum, 0, 0, G chord, strum, 0, 2, 3, D chord, strum, 2, 2, 2, E minor, strum, 0, 4, 3, C chord, 0, 0, D chord, G chord, sorry, 0, 2, and now the D chord. And you got to go to your claw here. G chord, D7, it's 2020, and then 3 Gs. Notice above measure 40, the last note, the last chord in measure 40, there's a fermato right. That's that eyeball looking thing. That eyeball looking thing says make this note longer than you normally would. If it's the last thing that happens in the song, you know that you're supposed to wait until your instrument completely dies and you don't touch this. Now you should do that anyway, but whoever wrote this song was clear. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's about the time that it stops making any noise whatsoever. Now I can take my chord off. Okay, so there's your key of G. On Friday, we will play it as written. We'll play down through the bottom, go back up, play through page 1 the second time, and then we'll play page 2. So you've got several different important skill sets. One is using your claw on the upper strings and the lower strings, and then on all 4 strings. So that's one skill set that's in this piece. The other skill set, of course, is knowing how to dealing with your new C chord. This is a C chord, and that's a D chord, as is this C chord, and this is a D chord. Okay. Ultimately, what happens over time is you're going to way rather play this C chord than this C chord because this C chord is much more useful than this C chord. And so you will, over time, end up being real fine with bar chords. And so I just start throwing them at you at this point. And then the other skill, of course, is making sure you're playing every single note perfect and beautiful with your thumb in 23 through 30, and then probably using your thumb as well to get these glissandos out in 31 through 38. Final skill is going from the thumb attack back to the claw attack. That in and of itself is a bit of a challenge. All right. Questions, comments, or concerns? Otherwise, we're going to move on to Estudio, which we worked on earlier this week. And so I'll have you pull that up. Why are arpeggios important? Arpeggios are important because they're going to make the difference between you sounding like every other ukulele player and somebody who's truly in charge of this instrument. I didn't write 30 arpeggios on this thing in every single key, using every possible chord shape and every possible right hand attack strategy on accident. It really is what's going to turn you into from being a good player into a great player, and that's arpeggios. And so when I teach this in guitar, arpeggios are about the last thing I put in because they're pretty challenging. In ukulele, I put it in pretty early because I want you to master this thing, and this thing you can master. And so don't be shy about digging into your arpeggios. The whole book is sitting on the website for you if you want it. And you should want it, and you should just start working your way through it. Once you're only the first 10 are the important ones. Those are actual ukulele keys. The other keys you're never going to play in, but it's still kind of fun to know what all the chord shapes look like in there. Okay, Estudio by Tarrega. Let's pull that one up. We worked on this one earlier this week. This is a much higher level of complexity than most of the songs we work on, but it's definitely doable once you figure out, hey, arpeggios are the way to go. Oh, thanks, Vic. It is a fabulous book. I've hit 2 home runs in a ukulele. I think probably 2, maybe 3. I don't know. But the circle of fifths with all the little chords right on the circle of fifths with the mammoth in the middle. That was a home run. Still wandering the internet. Still hasn't been touched in terms of awesomeness. And then my arpeggio book. I just think it's absolutely, it's just killer. It really is. And I just got lucky. I was teaching myself how to play this thing. I was so overloaded with passion for this instrument, and I put all of my heart and soul into that book. And for years, it was just my book. You know, I was the only one who played it. And then I started thinking, you know what? This is a good book. It's actually going to help you other people master this instrument. And so I'm glad that you guys can have it now. Estudio by Tarrega. Chords are not challenging on this piece overall. You have your A minors, you have your D minors, you have your E7. Okay, that's the whole first section. Okay, just a 3-chord section. It's not untypical of classical guitar-based music. They don't tend to get super complex with the chords. They're really working on right-hand skills to make it where you take this basic idea and turn it into something fabulous. The other chords are, of course, down in measure 9 through the end. There, again, you got your A minor, you got your D minor, but instead of going to E7, you go to G7, and then to C. Much happier chord progression, and then you dive right back in at 13 into those dark chords. A minor, D minor, E7, A minor. Now, you're never going to play this piece with those, thinking of those chords, but you are going to play this piece thinking of those chord shapes. How can they help you? Okay. I talked with you about this earlier in the week. I don't think you should play the tough fugue on this. I added that on for those people who want a challenge, but I think you guys should be playing just the ukulele melody line. That is what Tarrega wrote. That is what makes this piece come alive. We don't have the bass strings on the ukulele that we have on a guitar, so we don't need them, and you don't need them. Okay, let's walk through it one time all the way to the bottom, and then we'll go through and play it a couple times. So 0, 0, 0, and then really you need to use your claw. You don't want to use your thumb on this, or you won't be fast enough. And then 3, 0, 0, twice. Grab your D minor and add your pinky here. So you really want to have that D minor. You don't have to grab it, but it's going to make your ukulele sound better. So grab the D minor, put your pinky on 3. Slide the pinky back to 2. Play that twice. Hard part here is your pinky sliding up to 5. You want to have that on first so that your right hand can start its job while you're busy placing the other fingers where they need to go. Ring finger's going to go on 4. And the index finger is going to go on 2. Then you're pulling off your pinky and replacing your middle finger there on 3. And then you're going to put your 2 back on, your middle finger slides back to 2. That's the hard move in the song. You'll have to do that 3 or 4 times in here. So you might as well just take measure 3 and do it until you have exactly that shape. Okay? So pinky on 5, ring, index, middle, slide. Once you've learned that, you've learned the hard part of the song. Okay. Then measure 4. Pinky goes up on 7. Twice. One more. Then you start the same idea again. Oh, oh, oh. Then 3. 3 again. Do your D minor with your pinky. Pull the pinky back. Play it again. Slide up to 5. 4, 2. 3, 2. Slide. Let that 0 ring for a minute and then give it A minor. Okay. Then you repeat that section. So you get to bottom of 8. I would say that was 0 in measure 8, the first 0. Let it ring. Okay. As much show business, as much drama as you can put in there would be great. Okay. Then we go back, we play from 1 to 8 again, same exact thing. Let's go on to 9. Let's talk about that, and then we'll play this through a couple of times. So from measure 9, you're like, oh, okay, same thing. But then you find out automatically, nope, it's not going to be the same thing. Be aware, I have marked my sheet music with an R above the 7 in measure 9. So go 0, 0, 0, 3, 0, 0, and then the 7. Put an R on there. You really do want to use your ring on this 7. Because you've got an 8 coming up. That leaves your pinky available for the 8, and it also means that you can get to your bar that you have to add on in 5 conveniently. Okay, so let's go from 9 real slow. 0, 0, 0. Ring on 3. Ring on 7. And then bar, add your bar onto 5. Hit the 7 again. Then your bar's covering both of the 5s. Lose your ring finger to get these 3 5s. Then pinky on 8. Now race down and grab your G7. Okay, that's a move that can last exactly an eighth of a beat, or a quarter of a beat. Because no, it can last a half a beat. You got to be there right away, is what I'm saying. Grab your G7, 2 1 2. Push it forward to the 3. And you want to have your pinky on 5, index on 3, ring on 5. That's what I have. Okay, you could theoretically do a different thing here. I don't think it's going to be easier. You could put your middle finger there or your ring finger. I do think that this is the best arrangement that you could get out of that. Pinky on 5, index on 3, ring on 5. That's the other hard moment of the song. And then just lift these other 2 fingers off because you're already holding down your 5 for measure 12. Then 3, 7. And back to your main idea, 0, 0, 0, 3, 3, 3, 3, 0, 3, 0. D minor with your pinky. 2. Same. Pinky on 5. Ring on 4. Index on 2. Middle finger on 3. Slide your middle finger back. Let that 0 ring out. Okay, and you play that the very last time through. Instead of doing that, you go up to 12. Put your finger very lightly over the bar. You didn't do a very good job of it. Okay, that's what you're looking for. Getting those harmonics in there. That's how we finish the song. And every guitar player that's ever tried to do this in concert, you do it a million times at home. And then when you get to concert, it goes, right? So that's how it works. That's what being a professional musician is all about. Now, let's play through the whole thing as written. We'll play the first section twice. We'll play the second section twice, and we won't go fast. Okay, from the top. 1, 2, 3. Measure 5. Pinky pinky, middle, slide, to measure 1, measure 5. On to measure 9. Eight, G7. Slide it up. Thirteen. Back to 9. You could just play that song every single night before you went to bed, and your life would be better. That is stunning piece of music. Really, really nice. Way to go, Tarrega. What's his first name? Francisco. Way to go, Francisco. He probably put that out, and he's like, boom. They'll be playing that for 100 years. And here we are, 100 plus years later, knocking it out still. Absolutely beautiful. Q says, don't get it. In some places, we don't play the chord at all and need one of the fingers to play another note. Yeah, heck yeah, Q. That's going to happen all the time. Many times, you're holding the chord and you may or may not play it because in fingerstyle play, we'll either add a finger, subtract a finger, move it around a little bit. In this case, you're holding the chord shapes to kind of help you get the other notes in place, but you're not necessarily playing the chord. You're just using it as a home base for your other fingers. So yeah, you have it correct. You do get it. You do get it. You may not like it, right? But yeah, we're holding the chord, and then we either are adding a finger to modify the chord, or sometimes taking a finger off, or moving it around. So those are your three options, right? You got your chord on, and you're either going to add a finger, take a finger off, or take the fingers that you are using and either slide them up or slide them back, move them around a little bit. And so you do get it. So now also be aware, this is the book 2 stuff. This is hard. This is that, then why do you need the chord? The chord is the reason you need the chord. And it's a great question, Q. Then what the heck are we doing the chord for? The chord allows you to have a home planet where you're going to build from. So in the first measure is the perfect example. The chord is A minor. You're never once going to play this note, but it gives you a place to have that finger. So I'm modifying that. I can either put my ring finger there or my pinky finger there, and then that works. Now, I may not even depending on the situation. And in this situation, that A minor, I'm not even going to bother holding that because I'm too busy with these other strings. But yeah, we need the chord to give you a home base. Measure 2, it's essential that you hold that D chord and put that there. Otherwise, I don't know what you end up. I guess you could end up with this shape. You could do that, but then you're on a D minor shape, or I'm sorry, on a G, kind of a, I don't know, modified. I don't know what this is, G7-ish. And so yeah, we want to do it that way. So you really are taking advantage of having that chord shape. You'll find overall in fingerstyle guitar, in classical guitar, you build from the chord shape. You start at the chord shape and then you modify it. It's just a way of finding a fast, easy, effective place to get your chord on correctly. I'm eventually going to have to answer that call. That person has called me about 20 times and never left a message. Maybe it's somebody, I don't know, is calling me to give me money. Let's see. Lynn, I don't think the chords, I'm just playing the notes. In this particular song, you may be doing that, right? But I would say that for me, the only place I'm playing the notes is in measure 3, where but I'm still playing a shape. Okay, the shape that I'm playing has nothing to do with the chord shape that's up there, but it is still definitely a shape. And so I think of playing, everything I think about playing is I'm going to have my hands in a particular shape, and that is what almost always the chord is useful. Also notice, guys, at level 2 and above, sometimes the shape that you're playing in tough uke or in down below is very different than the chord that's up there hanging out above there. And so the more complex the music gets, the less, not the less, but more often you will see a chord in the tabs that bears very little resemblance to the chord that's up above, because the chords up above, we generally use those for singing. So this song, obviously you don't sing, but you'll find that in all the advanced music that we put out, that I put out, that the chords up above are your basic garden variety chords, but in the tablature, very often it'll be quite a bit different looking activity, and you need to know how to do both. That's I think the bottom line there. So thanks for those are complex questions you're asking, Q, and I think Lynn probably has, at least for this song, probably does, her suggestion makes sense. And so we'll go, well, hopefully maybe that cleared it up. I don't know. Lynn, I don't think I'm just playing a cue. Then why do we need the chord? So I think hopefully I talked about that a little bit. If I make a chord shape, it's just because it happens. Yeah. Okay. All right. But you will find out overall long-term, what you will find is making a shape that is reliable prior to attacking the measure. You will find that. Hey, by the way, did you do this? Did you try drawing a treble clef without looking at it? If you were successful, good for you. You can order the coffee mug with the treble clef on it. That was your job. Names for this: treble clef. Okay, that's the main name for it. Sometimes it's called a G clef because the circle deal goes around the G line on the staff. So sometimes they call it a G clef, and you guys can ignore the fact sometimes with octave clefs, that's for other instruments. For ukulele, we actually really do play on the treble clef. That's actually the sound, and what we do are actually on there. So your next activity for tonight, if you're working on theory a little bit, I need you to put the name of that dash on. What is that dash called, and what note goes there? And then I want you to put the names of what those lines are, and also what these spaces are. And we'll talk about that tomorrow. That's from a second grade music class. See if you can remember that. All right, guys, keep the questions coming. If I didn't explain things well today, I will be happy to go over them again. And then tomorrow we'll be digging into simple gifts. And again, simple gifts will be another opportunity for us to look at, here's what the chord shape, and here's how it helps you in the tough acts, or here's how it helps you play the melody. And it really, over time, what you will find is that your chord shapes, I don't ever tackle a piece of music that I'm going to play in a chord melody fashion or a fingerstyle fashion in any other way than here's a shape, here's the shape, here's the next shape, this is the next shape. That's how I'm going to play that piece of music. So, and then I will be modifying my chord shape. It just reduces the amount of work you have to do tremendously by getting your chord shapes on first. All right, guys, that's it. I'm going to go grab a bowl of soup. So I'm going to pull the plug. This is a lot today. What we're really working on is the right hand. We talk about the left hand a little bit, but we're really wanting to get consistent use and very clear, easy, methodical stuff out of this. Arpeggios are not for the weak. Okay, I mean that's why I give them to you guys, because you're the tough ones, right? You have come to the hard ukulele class. We're playing this as if you are a 17th century lutenist, and this will come around, I promise, and it'll make you really happy that you've done it. All right, guys, I'm gonna pull the plug early. I'm gonna go get a bowl of soup. I'm starving. I will see all of you tomorrow. Thanks for being here.